Well, it finally happened. It's not like we didn't see this coming, but Hogwarts Legacy just got a massive leak online with an extensive look at the character item screen, map size, all professors and classes, almost a complete look at the art book, and dozens of other details on top. Now, in respect for the devs' work, I will not be showing any of those in this video, but I will talk about them in a more general sense, mainly because what I just witnessed got me even more excited about the game. Obviously, you might want to also proceed at your own risk and probably watch out for the following weeks, as there's bound to be even more leaks incoming. Also keep in mind that a lot of the stuff in the art book is tagged as early concept, so things might have changed since then. Starting with the character summary menu, it goes as deep into RPG territory as you would expect. There's slots for the wand, robes and cloak, neckwear, outfit, headwear, and finally face. The wand slot especially looks exciting because it could prove there's other ones that we can get, something that people have been speculating for some time. Though if true, I'm expecting it to go through a more meaningful kind of way. Like for example, in the lore and some of the films, it was possible to duel someone for their own wand, so yeah, I'm just throwing the idea out there. It could be that, or maybe the one slot is simply there so that we can apply different appearances to it. As we discussed in the previous video, it's already been officially confirmed that this is the screen that lets us change the appearance of certain items. So that's what I'm mostly expecting, but I would totally love to know your opinion in the comments down below. Strangely enough, the broom and the flying mounts each have a dedicated and separate slot of their own. Most probably because this is also a reference or maybe a way to differentiate the way you summon them. The broom is something that we can summon right below us, including while falling if the recent gameplay reveals are still relevant. Meanwhile, for the other mounts like the thestrals and the hippogriffs, it's done through this odd magical box we still don't know much about. On the top side of the screen, we also have a general view of our main stats, including health, defense, and offense, something that we've seen we can upgrade on pieces of gear in the second gameplay reveal last month. And there's also the character name and the amount of money collected, so currency is also going to be just as important. Now, the art book leaks also provide a full top view of the map in Hogwarts Legacy, and there's a few things that stand out here. One is that this is an early rendition, so if you happen to have seen it, things could have and obviously have changed since then. Another one is that the flying trip that we've seen in the latest gameplay showcase probably shows no more than half of the outside map size. Just eyeballing it because it's very difficult to assess the distance travel from this footage, the small hamlet we see in the preview was roughly 1/3 of the way inside of the map from the Hogwarts castle. There's also the old map leak from a while back, which fits perfectly over the northeastern section from the castle, which is less than 1/8 of the size of the entire world that we see in the art book. Also, going back at the same footage, the mountain ranges we see in the background are a pretty good indicator of the limits that we can explore, but obviously inside of this, there's also hints that there's other hidden areas. According to the same art book, some concessions had to be made and the map we'll see in the full game will be slightly smaller than whatever their initial goal might have been, with the main reason cited being that of the memory storage limits. Judging how this will drop on the old-gen consoles too, and even the Nintendo Switch, it's more likely a polite way of saying that the old-gen might be holding the game back a little bit. And I'm not sure about you, but I prefer a map that's not too large nor too small and with a greater density of things to do rather than just something that might end up feeling like a chore. According to the info leak that came along with some of these new picks, the game is allegedly 70 hours long if you go for 100% completion or 35 hours just for the main campaign. Of course, this last piece of information, I would take it with a massive grain of salt since its source comes from Discord, though I will say it's the same Discord that also brought us these pictures, so I guess there's some legitimacy to them. If true, that sounds like the perfect game length to me, plenty enough to get lost inside the world of Hogwarts, but not too long that it just ends up boring. Also, I know this might be a tangent here, but I've seen an awful lot of water, lakes, rivers and such on the map, and I'm starting to think that there's probably a lot of reasons for them to have included swimming too, though I don't see a reason why they haven't presented it yet. We know that there's spells in the game that let us walk and even breathe underwater in key areas, but I'm wondering if that's also possible out in the open world. Some of the screenshots also cover details about classes, including herbology, which apparently is something that the team wanted to make a more expansive environment for, that hasn't been necessarily shown fully in the movies either. The developers have applied a range of ecosystems for it, including one for studying subterranean and underwater vegetation. Again, further going off that idea of underwater content, again repeating it, and like seeing how many times it's repeated might also hint that it might play a bigger role in the overall gameplay. One thing the book mentions is that when coming up with characters and companions, they tried looking at types of general personalities and then taking it off from there, such as going with archetypes like the prankster, the bookworm, the athlete, competitor, and so on, and have created characters to more or less fit this general designation, but have more going on in their lives and backstories. Another thing we haven't heard of in a while are of course the dragon enemies. There are a handful of gameplay scenes involving just one type, and their significance to the lore might be a lot bigger. Certain wizarding families have even served as guardians for some of these dragon breeds in the past. For example, this one, dark scale covering his whole body, gives him the appearance of a towering craggy mountain similar to the terrain of its native land. But it's not the only breed in there, as the art book shows many more with different features of different sizes and colors. The only thing still unclear is if we will get to see any of these in game, or are they just there for story or maybe lore purposes. I would definitely like a lot more dragon enemies. The leak also makes mentions of a pretty ample side content, including many side missions that we can take part in. Different houses will have different progressions on individual main quests and whatnot, eventually wrapping up in the same result. But there's one bold claim that the leak makes that I'm not sure I fully believe, including the fact that only 3 of the 4 houses might have main lines to follow in terms of side quests, with one of them lacking it. So I'm not sure I believe that. It wouldn't make any sense, but again, anything goes. We don't have full information just yet, so I'm not sure what to believe of it. So far, take it with a grain of salt, but stay away from some of those screenshots because they definitely reveal a lot, and we haven't even covered like the half of it. This is it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.